have you ever felt like you walk into a room and you are the only one who looks like you or thinks like you or has a particular essence or a particular aura? Well, that's what I want to talk about today. I want to break it down a little bit. I want to, put a kind of different spin on it, because for some people, this is a negative feeling. This is something that they avoid as much as they possibly can in life. But it's something that I have learned to embrace. There was once a time where I felt like it was negative, but now I embrace it fully. So I moved abroad in my 20s, okay, my mid-20s, I moved abroad. And at the time, I didn't really know what I wanted for my life, okay, but moving abroad really emphasized the fact that I just felt like I was the only one like me, like there was no other person like me, okay? This is not me feeling superior to anyone. This is not me feeling like I'm better or like other people, or the culture, the environment where I'm in wasn't good enough for me. It was just that I felt out of place. I felt uncomfortable. So imagine this. I'm the only woman in my family who decided at such a young age not to follow the traditional norms. Traditional norms in the sense of the kind of job that I decided I wanted to do, which was outside of the scope of being a doctor or a lawyer. Being non-traditional in the sense that I didn't want to get married, especially so young. Being non-traditional because, yes, I did have a child young, but I was expected to have more children because you're expected to carry the lineage forward, right? So I was expected to have more children, and I just wasn't interested in that. Being traditional in the sense that you're expected to have, when you get married, I did get married eventually, but when you get married, you're expected to have this lavish wedding, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, I love it, okay? Don't get me wrong, there are some traditions that I do care about coming from Nigeria, but not all of them align with me. And just to be honest, I'm not interested in the shiny things. I'm not very much interested in lavishment, okay? If you've watched any of my videos before, I spoke about being an ultravert. If you don't know, an ultravert is kind of like a mix of an introvert and an extrovert, but not exactly, because there are certain traits of an introvert that an ultravert has. But in addition to that, they have certain extroverted traits. But the main feature of an ultravert is that they tend to stand for themselves. They tend to think for themselves, and they are not swayed by a group. They're not swayed by a crowd, okay? So imagine coming to a completely different country, coming to Malta, different culture and everything, and just standing out like a sore thumb. We're talking about 2013, when there weren't as many Black people as there are now. So I was usually one of the few Black people around. I was one of 3, now 2 Black teachers at my school. I was the only Black person in my Italian family. My husband's Italian. I'm still the only Black person in that family. There's also the fact that now I sometimes travel with a group of motorcyclists, and I'm the only Black person and the only non-Italian in that group. Okay, so how has this affected me? Now, at the start, there was a bit of discomfort, of course, because yes, when you're different, you can't blend in. When you're different, especially when you're an ultravert, that you don't want to always draw attention to yourself. You're not seeking to be the center of attention. That can be a little bit difficult. But if you're an introvert, it's even more difficult because you tend to want to withdraw into yourself, while an ultravert can actually contain the situation and can actually thrive in the situation. It just depends on their mindset on that day, okay? So imagine that you are in that kind of situation, like how would you feel? How would you deal with it? And I want to just share with you how I dealt with it and how that has, especially the fact that coming out of my environment, my original environment, helped me to nurture that introvert that is in me. It helped me to come to terms with it. It helps me to discover it, because here I am. I have no basis to form my decisions on, like not zero basis, but every decision I had to make had to be, some people are having fun. So every single decision I had to make had to be made based on new rules, right? Based on trial and error, but most importantly, based on a curious mind, a mind that was curious and ready to learn, a mind that wasn't afraid. I mean, there was some fear, because I still have fear of rejection sometimes, but the fear of rejection isn't as strong as to my need to gather knowledge, my need to experience life, okay, my need to explore life. And that's the thing that I want to happen on. It's that being the odd one out shouldn't be an advantage, a disadvantage. Actually, it should be your vantage point, because you can be a true explorer of life if that's what you're into. If you want to explore, things, you can follow your curiosity. You can ask questions. You're not afraid that people are going to judge you, because they know that. I mean, you don't even care to begin with. It's not that kind of homogeneous group that you might belong to, and so you care what they think. When you're out of that homogeneous group and you're in a group where you're just completely different, you don't have that basis of a comparison, right? Not comparing yourself to your sister or your brother or that person that's, your fellow Nigerian. And that's what I find myself doing sometimes. And I have to check myself. When I'm amongst Nigerians, I tend to go back a little bit into those ways, like comparing and like, oh, he's Nigerian, I'm Nigerian. I should speak this way. I should eat this way. I shouldn't have this point of view. But then I check myself like, hey, girl, you went through a whole journey of self-discovery, and you're not just going to throw it away just because you find yourself in a group. Okay. Another example would be also hanging out with females. I'm not used to that. I grew up with mostly guys around me, my brother, my father, and so I never really grew up having, that kind of girls clique where you hang out together most of the time and you're relaxed. I don't know what girls usually do together, okay? Most of my girl-on-girl relationships have just been one-on-one. It's never been part of a group, okay? And I really don't appreciate the fact, I mean, each to his own, right? Each to his own. So I noticed that people who are very comfortable being in a group tend to be homogeneous, and they tend to follow in each other's steps. Would you say, put it that way? Like they would maybe dress the same way. They would be very much interested in the same things, which is not bad. Don't get me wrong. I want to meet people who have similar interests to me, but I also want to meet people who I can learn from, who I can share with, and I can take something new from them as well. We don't have to have the very, everything just the same and just think the same way without questioning. That's the part of it that I'm not a big fan of. Doing things because everybody else is doing it, and not being able to question it or critically think and make decisions for yourself. What's best for you. And so the fact that I was pulled out, because honestly, I don't know how my life would have turned out had I remained back in the same environment. Perhaps I would have given in to the pressure around me. Perhaps, I doubt it. No. But to some degree, I think so, to some degree. So coming out of that helped me come out of my shell, and it helped me discover who I really was. It helped me explore different options in life. It helped me explore different interests, interests that I might otherwise have said, this is not for girls, for example. or this isn't something that a woman does, or this isn't something that someone your age does. It just really brought me out of that. And like, now you're free to explore as much as you can. And I would like to say to you, if you are experiencing something similar and you are feeling like you're feeling uncomfortable, rather than looking at it from the angle of I'm the only different person here, how about looking at it from the angle of this is my opportunity to discover something new. This is my opportunity to explore a different space, not necessarily to belong to that space, but just to understand life a little bit better, just a continuous journey of learning and growing and I don't want to say transcending because I'm not that spiritual, okay, but if you can get some form of transcendency from that, go for it. So that is what I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you guys think. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like it, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.